Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is a video that has been asked for some time now, and I'm not entirely sure why, but it has been requested, so your wish is my command. Welcome to start collecting the Dutch Belgian army. Now, a few things before we get into it. This is the Dutch Belgian army of 1815 of the 100 Days campaign. So while those two countries did fight sort of in the early Napoleonic Wars, this is very much the Allied army that fought alongside the British at Waterloo during the 100 Days campaign. The second thing is, if you have not seen any of the videos here before, we do have some ground rules, so I'll go into those. And they are, to start off, we have the budget. Now, normally we've had a £200 budget split into two equal chunks of £100. Now, that has changed here for two reasons. The first one is, I think from the last video going forwards, I'm going to make the budget £150 per slot. So we're going to have a total budget of £300. And that's because of inflation that we had last year. And also in this particular case, I think it's worth doing because there's not that much out there in plastic. Now, I did look at ways that we can convert existing plastic models into Dutch Belgians, but to be honest, the effort was so much that it probably wasn't worth all that time and effort spent. You're probably just best off buying the models that are designed to represent the Dutch Belgian army of the 100 Days. So we're going to have £300 split into two lots of 150, and the idea here is that it may be from two different pay stubs, or it could be from birthday and Christmas money if you're maybe a bit younger. Maybe you've managed to hit up both sets of grandparents for some pocket money. I don't know, but the idea here is that it's two lots so you can spread the cost of the army. The first chunk is to be spent getting the core of the army. The second is to fill that out, get some fun stuff, and just finish the army off into a rounded state that you can actually play some games with it. Now, I won't be including the cost for paints, glues, etc., because this video is really aimed at people who are moving from another system into Napoleonics. I am still working on a getting started video, so that will come at some point. But at the moment, yeah, I won't be including that. I also won't be including postage and packaging from the various manufacturers. Now, that said, some of these items, usually most of them, but in this case only some, may be available from third-party discount retailers, so make sure you check those out as well, and you can perhaps balance the cost of the postage and packaging from the things that aren't with the savings you get from the sets that are. So with that in place and the first £150 in my sweaty fist, then let's get into it. Now, the really good thing about collecting Dutch Belgians is you're really collecting two armies in one. The Dutch had a very Anglo-style uniform, whereas the Belgians had a very French-style uniform. So it looks quite nice. It looks nice when they're together, because although they're different, they are coordinated, and you'll do the same basing techniques and things like that on them. So to start off, I would like to talk about a company which I actually really like, and I don't talk a lot about on this channel, and that is Eagle Miniatures. We're going to hit them up for 2 regimental packs of their Dutch militia. Now, something that I didn't say in the introduction was the standard size unit we're looking at is 24 infantrymen, or 8 cavalrymen, or 1 to 2 guns. So that's the sizes of the units. If we can go large or small from there, but that's what we're looking at going with. So 2 packs of 24 infantry is perfect for our preferred medium-sized unit. But they are metal minis. They are not going to be the cheapest. Those 2 boxes are packs are £35 each. So that takes us to a running total of £70. Now, Eagle Miniatures are really nice. They're a little small, but they are very nice. Now, we can get a third unit from them, but I'm going to recommend that we leap over to the progenitors of Black Powder itself. I'm going to suggest that we head over to Warlord Games. There we can see that they do 2 boxes of Belgians. You can either have them marching or firing. I'm going to recommend we pick up the firing ones because we've got the Dutch marching, and it just gives us a little bit of variety there by having some firing troops as well. Now, one thing that I will say about the Warlord Dutch Belgians, or the Belgians, is that they are made of their resin. I'm not sure what the technical term is. I call it Restec, but that's probably not right. It's sort of a resin-plastic hybrid. Some people out there really don't like it. I can understand why. It's quite soft. and it just feels like it's not very high quality. I don't mind it. I've got 3 battalions of Spanish, and I found that it's been okay with them. One of the nice things about it is that the resin doesn't shatter. It's actually quite flexible. It will usually bounce. So you pay your money, you take your choices. Now, the Warlord Games box of Belgians is slightly cheaper than getting them from Eagle Miniatures, and that's what tipped me over to the edge, along with another benefit we'll talk about in a second. So they are £29.50 for 24 figures. So we're at a running total of £99.50. Now, the extras that you get in the box are you don't get bases with them. I don't think you do anyway. But what you do get is a sheet of flags. Now, that's going to come really useful when we head down the line. As I say, we're going to need bases for them. But before we head over to war bases, we are going to continue getting some more minis, because more minis is more fun. That's how it goes. And let's look at getting some horsey boys. Now, this is where I was predominantly looking at the conversions. So something like French chasseurs with French carabinier heads, or maybe British heavy dragoons mixed with French dragoons. But I think ultimately Occam's razor, the simplest solution, is the best one. So we'll just head over to the Perrys and we'll buy the models that they make for the Dutch Belgian cavalry. Now, I'm not doing any particular formation for the army. It's just what we can get away with the money and what looks cool. But I am going to slightly base the cavalry off the Netherlands Light Cavalry Brigade under General Major Baron Trip van Zoutland. And he was in command of those guys at the Battle of Waterloo. Now, it says light cavalry, but they were very much not light cavalry. He had the 1st and 3rd Dutch Carabiniers in their funky bicorns, and he had the 3rd Dutch... he had the 2nd Belgian Carabiniers in their Grecian helmets, a bit like the French Lancers or Carabiniers wore. They look super cool. I love those helmets. To be honest with you, actually, I really like the Carabiniers. I can't decide which one's cooler. Now, we've only got the budget for one of these units this month, so it's going to decide on how you like to paint. That sounds a bit weird, but you've got 2 units of one type, 1 unit of the other. Now, if you'd like to have variety in your painting, I would recommend that you buy 1 of the Carabinier units, because then you can paint that one this month, and next month you've got another Carabinier unit, but you can, before you paint that, you can perhaps paint the Belgian Carabiniers. So I should have said, if you like your variety in your painting, then I would buy a unit of Dutch Carabiniers. They're the guys in the bicorns. If you like to batch paint, then I would recommend that you buy those 2 units together next month, and you buy the single unit of Belgian Carabiniers in their Grecian helmets this month. So this is entirely how you like to paint. If you like to break things up, then you can do it that way. If you prefer to batch paint, then you can do it that way as well. I'll leave that for you guys to decide, because you know how you paint best. I'm a man who likes a lot of variety. I'm looking at my painting desk now. What can I see on my painting desk? I have a Japanese rifleman from World War II. I have a third-party Faramir. I've got a Württemberger General. I've got a Terminator, who is going to be Deathwing. And I've got Napoleon kneeling down next to Marshal Lannes as he's been killed. And I also have a battalion of 12mm Russians in greatcoats. So that's... Oh, and 4 Typhon siege tanks as well for epic. So that's the... As you can tell, I'm a man who likes some variety. So I'm going to recommend that we go with 1 of the Dutch Carabinier units. They're the guys in the bicorns, and you're going to want 1 command pack and 2 packs of troopers, whichever one you go. You could go for the Belgians, you go for the Dutch, doesn't matter. That's what you need to make up the unit. So we're going to plumb for DB28, Dutch Carabinier Command, and 2 DB29s, Dutch Carabiniers Charging. Now, the Perrys are asking for £9.50 for their packs of cavalry, so that's another £28.50. Taking us to £128 spent so far. So that's not too bad. We've got some infantry. We've got some cavalry. Now we need the 3rd leg of the Napoleonic stool. and that is the artillery. Now, sticking over here at the Perrys, we will grab DB20, Dutch Belgian foot artillery, laying 6-pounder. Now, you could go for DB21, which is the next one on the catalogue. That's them firing. But I really liked the little vignette of them laying the gun. Doesn't really matter which one you go for, but just have a look at them, see which one you think looks coolest, and then go for that one. Artillery from the Perrys is £10. That includes the gun and 4 crew, so I don't think that's too tragic. But it takes our current total up to £138. We've got £12 left. And what are we going to do with that, I hear you cry? Well, you know, here I'm all about giving you guys choices. So we can either be naughty or we can be nice. Now, nice is staying under budget. Being naughty is going over budget. Now, you guys will know me. I always like a bit of naughtiness. So I'm going to suggest that we go for DB3, Mounted Infantry Officers. We're still with the Perrys, and this is going to give us our command element. Now, we've only got 1 brigade at the moment, so you can just have one on... well, you could use them all as brigade commanders, but as it stands, you could probably get away with having one of them in the unit and then having 2 of them as brigade commanders. So that's not the end of the world. Now, again, this is a pack of cavalry, so that's going to be £9. So, £9.50. So that's going to put us at £147.50, leaving us only £2.50 left, and we've got no bases, which is why I'm saying this is a little bit naughty. We could just have headed over to war bases and picked up what we need and stayed under budget. But I'm gonna continue the video as if we've spent over budget on the first month. So we've got our £2.50 in our sweaty palm. We're gonna head over to war bases and pick up some bases from there. Now, the general figures aren't necessary for you to get started. You can just say that this battalion commander is the overall commander and just measure from him. I'd say you could use a battalion commander from the Belgians just because he's going to be unique as opposed to the 2 Dutch militia ones. But whatever, it's entirely up to you. As I say, I'm going to be a little bit naughty. Let's go over budget. Now, one of the things that I absolutely adore about warbases is that their prices are basically the same for all the different packs. You just get a varying number of bases in the pack. So I think it's really good for budgeting because you know exactly how much you're going to spend. It's just a question of how much goodies are you going to get for your money. Despite knowing that we're going to go over budget anyway, we are going to try and restrain ourselves a little bit. So what I'm going to suggest is we look at their 40mm square bases. Now you get 16 of these bad boys in a pack, so that is enough for 2.5 battalions worth of troops, so just slightly over. So we're going to get 2 lots of those for 36 bases. We're going to need 32 bases. We're going to need 6 to a battalion, so that gives us 5 battalions worth there. With 2 bases left over, we'll come to those in a second, because you can use those 2 bases for the artillery. You glue them together, and then you've got yourself a 40 by 80 base that you can stick some artillery on. Now, for commanders, I like to have my commanders on round bases, so we're going to grab a pack of 50mm round bases. And the horsey boys, they are also going to need 50mm bases. I'm going to recommend that we get 2 packs of 50mm square bases for them. So we've got 1 of 50mm rounds, 2 of 50mm squares. You get 12 of the 50mm square bases in a pack. So that's going to be plenty for 3 regiments of cavalry. You basically need 3 to 4 for a unit of cavalry. And I mean, we could maybe even shave a bit of money off and just get one pack there, but we would be right on the edge. So it's up to you. You pay your money, you take your choice. You could also use those 50mm squares for your artillery instead of the 40mm, just to make them that little bit bigger. In fact, thinking about it, I probably would. So that would mean that we needed that second pack of 50mm squares. Now, basically, the packs are 175 each, so we have got 5. So that takes us to £8.75. Adding that to our month 1 spend already, including if we got the infantry commanders, and we have spent £156.25. So we have been very naughty. We have gone £6.25 over, but you could always drop the infantry commanders, and then you would in fact be under. You could even have some money left over for a Freddo or two, but I think you're probably best off just getting them now. Slightly overspending on that first month, and then we will take it off the second month total, but it just means that you've got further up the hill, shall we say, than if you underspend on month 1 and then overspend on month 2. So there we go. That is the end of month 1. We have our a decent start to an army. I think we've got 2 regiments of Dutch infantry. We've got a unit of Belgian infantry, and we've got a unit of Dutch cavalry, and a unit of artillery. Now, interestingly, with the colours, I have heard that people suggest that the Dutch Belgian troops didn't take their colours onto the field at Waterloo. I don't care. My troops are going to have colours. Even my converged grenadier regiments have colours. So these guys definitely are. We've got Belgian flags already. We don't have any Dutch ones, so we'll have to look at picking those up in month 2. But what you can do is you can have a game with what you've got. You've also got the command as well, of course. So you can already have a game. We've got 9 cavalryman models, so one of those can be a cavalry brigade commander, because we only need 8 in the unit. We've got 3 units of 24 infantry, and then we've got 3 brigade commanders. So as I say, you can maybe slot 2 of them into units and just have that 1 infantry brigade commander, or you could have 1 in a unit, 1 as your brigade commander, and use 1 as your overall divisional C&C. But I wouldn't worry too much about that, because we may be getting one of those next month. So with the nexus of our army in place, we can move to month 2, and we can carry on with maybe some more fun stuff. I'm going to start off with something that's fun if you enjoy doing cavalry, and that is we are going to finish our brigade of cavalrymen. Now, we are slightly over in month 1. We've only got £143 left to spend. And 75 pence, lest we forget. So we're going to start off, we're going to finish off that brigade of cavalry. Now, as I said in the previous part, it's up to you which one you got. If you like to batch paint, then I would have recommended that you got 1. And if you like to vary at what you're painting, then I would have suggested that you get 1 of the regiments that there were 2 of, the Dutch Carabiniers. Now, one of the problems I've got with this series is sometimes it's a little bit like, well, just go to the Perrys and give me money. I understand this, and what I liked about researching this Dutch Belgians is it did give us the opportunity to look at some other manufacturers. Front Rank, but they do a full range of Dutch Belgians. We've already mentioned Eagle, they do as well. The problem is, for the price versus quality, I just don't think you can beat the Perrys. Victrix, I think, are up there, but Victrix don't do Dutch Belgians. So, honestly, it becomes a little bit of a, well, just go to the Perrys and give them your money, unfortunately. That's especially the case with the Dutch Belgian cavalry, because they are absolutely gorgeous, super dynamic, really great charging poses. You can't really go wrong, to be honest. So following on from getting the Dutch Carabiniers on month 1, then I would recommend that we go for another DB28 and 2 DB29s. Now, I would say with that one, that will give us 18 models, and we only really need 16 for the 2 units of 8. So if you want to get a little bit creative with the basing, you can perhaps have like a wall or some barrels or something like that that takes up the space of a cavalryman. You can probably just get 1 box of each. So 1 pack of DB28, 1 pack of DB29, and that will save you £9. So that's not a small amount, and it may be worth looking into. But we'll also need to get a pack of DB36 and 2 DB37s. That is the Belgian Carabiniers, and that will, assuming that you got 2 of the first pack, the Dutch ones, then that is going to cost us £57 for those 6 packs. As I say, though, really think about whether you can creatively base one of your cavalrymen in order to make it a full unit of 8, but only using 7 models, because that will save you a tenner. We might have plans for that later. So we're quite far in because we overspent on turn 1. So we're over £60 into our £150 budget. So we do have a large cavalry contingent there, though. 4 regiments of medium cavalry, not to be sneezed at. And again, I'm going to recommend that we pick up some more infantry, bulk up that side of the army. Now again, you can pick between the Perry's, Eagle or Warlord. And I'm going to recommend that we get 1 pack of Dutch, 1 pack of Belgians, and we do what we did before. We get the Dutch from Eagle, we get the Belgians from Warlord. So that was going to cost us £35 and £29.50 respectively. So including the overspend from month 1, we have just spent an extra, where are we, £64.50. So with the overspend, we are on £127.75. So already we're going to start having to look to start wrapping things up. We've got in our army now, we've got 5 battalions of infantry, we've got 3 regiments of cavalry, we've got a artillery piece, and we've got some commanders as well. So we've got that pack of 3 commanders. We've got 2 of them can be brigade commanders. If you didn't get them in month 1, then you should probably get them here in month 2. So we're going to head over to my usual place for flags, and that is GMB Designs. They make absolutely phenomenal flags. So we've got the Belgian ones in our Warlord boxes already, so we don't need Belgian ones. That's quite handy. Although GMB do cavalry, Gideons, standards for cavalry, the models from the Perrys don't actually come with a standard bearer, so we don't need any of those, so that's quite nice, that's a bonus. But we do need flags for the 3 Dutch battalions, and rather annoyingly, GMB sell them in packs of 2, so we're going to need to pick up 2 packs of 2 flags each, so we'll have 1 left over, but I mean, that's okay, it is. They are £3.90 each, so that's going to cost us £7.80, which means that we've only got £14.50 remaining. Now, we've got plenty of bases. We don't need to worry about those, but one thing that I will say, again, as an attempt to maybe save some pennies, is that when we order our Dutch troops from Eagle Miniatures, we could also perhaps order a sheet of their flags as well. Now, their flags are from Flags of War. They're very nice. I don't think they're quite the quality of GMB, and GMB is a local company to me as well, so I like to give them a shout out when I can. I would recommend going for them, but the Flags of War ones are slightly cheaper. Have a look on the website, see what you think. Again, this is one of those things of you pay your money, you take your choice. It depends on which one you think looks best. One thing I would say, though, particularly when it comes to flags, don't scrimp. Don't think, it looks a bit, no, I don't really like that, but it's cheaper than the other one. Faces, bases, and flags are the most important parts of your models. So it's probably not worth scrimping on the flags, because that's going to be the thing that people notice. Now, we've got, what did I say we've got left? £14 something? What have we got left? £14.50 left. Now, there are 3 ways we can go with this. One is sensible, one is daft, and one is thrifty. So we'll start with the sensible/thrifty one, and that is that we spend £10 on buying a second gun. Now, we can use this as to make a 2-gun battery, or we can use it to make a second cannon battery. It's entirely up to you. I like to have 2 guns to a battery because it means that you can then have 1 gun representing a small one and 3 or 4 guns representing a large one. So I like to have 2 guns per battery. Now, the reason why this is in the sensible one is because we've got £14 left, so that's £10 from that £14. The thrifty way is when I said that we can perhaps cut back on buying that 3rd pack of Dutch Carabiniers, well, this is where that saving can come in. You can buy yourself a cannon instead of that 3rd pack. So that's the thrifty way, or the sensible way is we just end up with a cannon. Now, the thrifty way is going to enable us to do the daft way as well. So that is the additional bonus. That is the opportunity cost, as they say. Now, if we're going to go for daft, which is where I'm going to go with, that is we go right back to the beginning of the Perry's Dutch Belgian range, DB1, Le Premier pack, and that is the man himself, Silly Billy, Prince William of Orange and his staff. Now, I think, look, if you're going to do the Dutch Belgians at Waterloo, I think, personally, you absolutely have to do the Prince of Orange. Because if you're not, what's the point? But that's just me. Now, for me, he can be your overall commander. He truly is an iconic guy from Waterloo. Now, I'm not going to say whether he was as incompetent as he's been shown, or as his supporters think he was some sort of cross between Alexander the Great, Hannibal, and Frederick the Great combined. I'm not going to say either way on that debate where I lie, although I think you might be able to guess. But what I am going to say is he is an absolutely gorgeous mini. Now, what I would also recommend if you're going to get that set is you get DB2, which is a set of commanders and ADCs. They're really nice when you put them together. If you've gone for the thrifty way, then you'll go slightly over budget if you buy the ADCs. If you go the daft way, then you'll go more over budget, and if you go the sensible way, you'll go quite a bit over budget. So that's where this comes from for me. Personally, I would break the price limit and grab the ADCs as well. I'd probably be more likely to do the just buy one pack of cavalry on month 2, or cavalry troopers on month 2. So that's probably where I would go. But the rules are the rules. We've only got £300, so we're gonna have to leave the ADCs behind. So with that £9.50 spent on the Prince of Orange and his staff, we come to a monthly total of £145 and 5 pence. So we've got £4.95 left over. There's not a huge amount we can get for that, I'm afraid. We could have got some flags for the cavalry, perhaps convert a guy holding a sword to be holding a Gideon if you wanted to. We could do that. I mean, you could go to, there's a Boards and Swords where we had the Under Eagles to Glory event, and where we will be having the next Under Eagles to Glory event on the 1st and 2nd of March 2025. I had to get the plug in. There's a very nice pub nearby called the Smithfield. They do a great pork pie for £5, so you could go for that one as well. I would recommend. I had the game pie. That was quite nice, actually, although I don't know, it's a bit weird. It was nice. It went down well with a nice pint of porter, I can guarantee that. Or alternatively, you could get a pint and probably, I reckon you could probably get 4 Freddos with that one. So that would be that would be my final thing. Now, one thing that we could do, if I'm going to be sensible for a moment, is if we had if we bought 2 units of Warlord infantry on month 2 instead of 1 from Eagle and 1 from Warlord, that would save us a £5. And we had, £4.95 left. So that would enable us to get that second gun, as well as the command, or possibly even the ADCs. So that's maybe worth thinking about as well. It's one of those things where those little amounts, £3 here, £4, £5, £6, if I choose A instead of B, they can add up, and you can find that you can maybe buy a little bit more than you thought you could. But that's it. So the Dutch Belgians, a little bit more expensive than normal due to the lack of plastic options out there. £300, we've got ourselves a rather nifty little army, if I do say so myself. We've got 5 battalions of infantry. 3 of those are metal, 2 of them are resin. We've got 3 regiments of cavalry, and we've got an artillery battery. We've also got command to go with our brigades, including the cavalry brigade, and we've got the big man himself, Prince William of Orange. Now, I would say, actually, that if we do buy the orange set, one of those models can become your cavalry brigade commander, which means, again, that you can get by with just having 15 models to represent those 16 guys. Now, if you are feeling particularly brave, then you could also spend some monies on the Wargames Atlantic website, where they sell STLs. Now, they do an STL set for Master and Commander. They basically do Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany. So if you were feeling particularly creative, you could get that, download and print Paul Bettany's head, then decapitate old Silly Billy, and glue Paul Bettany's head on the top. Maybe you'd have to sculpt a bicorn on there, or maybe you could rescue the original one and glue that on top. And that's because Paul Bettany played the Prince of Orange in Sharpe's Waterloo. So that's what that's there for. But, you know, I'd love to see it if anyone does it. If anyone comes From Eagles to Glory next year and brings Silly Billy, I'd love to see him as Paul Bettany. But that's it. I've gone over 30 minutes. My soft, a bit like the budget, I've gone slightly over. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. The Dutch Belgians are an interesting army. It's almost like collecting 2 in 1. So I really like that. Just as a heads up, this is going to be this is going to go out on the 30th of June. So obviously we're going to head into July tomorrow. That tends to be how calendars work. I will be doing videos as normal through July. And then, as I do every year, or most years, I will be taking August off. So I just wanted to give you the heads up there. There will be no videos in August. Although I may do some live streams. I'm not quite sure yet. But thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope to see a plethora of Dutch Belgian armies hitting the tabletop in the next few months. But thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.